Chapter 311. During this corpse refinement, Songwon was very careful and cautious. Moreover, with Fang Pengyi and the others watching nearby, he intentionally slowed down the pace of the refinement. It took a full 4 days to complete this corpse refinement. A large amount of corpse energy was injected, and after taking the Ziyun mushroom to restore vitality, it was once again dispersed by the corpse energy. The human snake's body trembled violently, clearly enduring immense pain. The luster on its scales gradually faded, replaced by a dead, dull gray. In the human snake's vertical pupils, there was a mixture of pain and hatred, as if it were accusing the heavens of injustice. The 4 people beside it, however, had expressions of joy. Completing another corpse refinement meant they were one step closer to achieving full mystic qi. It seems that after 1 or 2 more refinements, the mystic qi will fill the entire snake body, Fang Pengyi said, his face unable to hide his excitement. He then asked Songwon, "Elder Wu, when do you think the next refinement would be appropriate?" Songwon replied, "The human snake's life force is increasingly fragile and its body is taking longer to adapt to the corpse energy. The next refinement will likely need to wait 2 months. Fang Pengyi murmured, 2 months? That's quite a while. For the sake of caution, let's go with what you said. Remember to notify the 3 of us in advance for the next refinement. We will protect you." 5 months later, under the watchful eyes of Fang Pengyi and the others, Songwon conducted the 19th corpse refinement on the human snake. The refinement process was quite perilous, as the human snake's life force fluctuated at times. If Fang Pengyi and the others had not been present, as soon as the human snake's life signs began to weaken, they would immediately give it the Ziyun mushroom to forcefully keep it alive. Otherwise, the human snake would likely have already turned into a cold corpse. After several days of continuous corpse refinement, Songwon let out a long sigh of relief. This refinement took even more focus and energy than making a fake 3rd-tier silver corpse, leaving Songwon feeling exhausted with a tired expression. However, despite the arduous process, the outcome was gratifying. The human snake's physical body had less than 3 inches of its tail remaining that was not covered by mystic qi. Songwon estimated that he just needed to wait a few days for the corpse energy and life force in the human snake to slowly merge, allowing its body to naturally achieve full mystic qi. 10 days later, as Songwon had expected, the human snake's entire body was filled with mystic qi. After receiving the message from Songwon through the communication jade slip, Fang Pengyi's face was filled with wild joy. He could not wait to take out a jade slip and send out a message. A few moments later, Yang Yu's figure appeared in Songwon's cave. Upon seeing the condition of the human snake, even though Yang Yu was a nascent soul strongman, a hint of excitement flashed in his eyes. "I didn't expect that you from the alchemy peak really succeeded. Full mystic qi, excellent." Fang Pengyi slightly bowed, his respectful demeanor unable to conceal his surprise, reporting to the Supreme Elder, "This is all thanks to Elder Wu. Not only is he gifted in corpse refinement, but he has also tirelessly guarded and cared for the human snake's mysterious corpse." Not daring to relax for a moment, after years of effort, he finally succeeded in allowing the human snake to achieve full mystic qi. Songwon also put on an excited expression, bowing with cupped fists and saying, reporting to the Supreme Elder, "The human snake's mysterious corpse achieving full mystic qi is mainly due to sect leader Fang's strategies. He has assisted the disciples in refining corpses many times. There are also elders Lu Jiang and Rong Jingzun who contributed significantly. I have only done a small part, not worthy of sect leader Fang's praise." Fang Pengyi turned his head, gratefully looking at Songwon. He was very pleased with Songwon's words. Unlike some who only understood hard work and were clueless about human emotions and relationships, Songwon was quite articulate. Yang Yu nodded slightly upon hearing this. "Rest assured, your contributions will not go unrecognized. Fang Pengyi, I once promised that I would select the next sect leader from the first peak to achieve full mystic qi. After 10 years, Zhu Feichen will step down as sect leader, and you will be the next sect leader." Fang Pengyi was extremely excited and bowed deeply with cupped fists. "Thank you, Supreme Elder." Yang Yu then turned to Songwon. "Elder Wu, the refinement of the human snake's mysterious corpse and the integration of mystic qi are largely due to your efforts. Given your current low cultivation level, I bestow upon you some spiritual stones and treasures, hoping they will assist you in condensing your golden core." As he spoke, Yang Yu handed Songwon a storage ring. "Thank you for the treasures, Supreme Elder." Yang Yu continued, "Currently, there is only one human snake that has achieved full mystic qi, which is still insufficient. Elder Wu, you need to continue refining corpses. The more human snakes with full mystic chi, the better. Fangpingi, you are responsible for gathering the necessary spiritual materials for the corpse refinement. There's no rush on this, you can take your time with the refinement. Songwon and Fangpingi bowed in response, disciples obey. Yang Yu nodded, then he took the human snake with full mystic chi and disappeared into the cave. After Yang Yu left, Songwon and Fangpingi exchanged compliments for a while. During this time, Songwon got distracted and probed his spiritual sense into the storage ring. Inside the storage ring, there were only 2 items. One was spiritual stones, 30 high-grade spiritual stones, theoretically. They were worth 30,000 low-grade spiritual stones. However, in reality, very few people would exchange high-grade spiritual stones for medium or low-grade ones. High-grade spiritual stones contain more pure and concentrated spiritual energy and are often used to arrange formations of 3rd tier or higher, or during breakthroughs. The second item was a silver token engraved with the character merit. Unsure of the token's purpose, Songwon held it in his hand, looking confused as he asked, "Sect leader Fang, what is the use of this token?" Fangpingi, who was immersed in thoughts of soon becoming the sect leader, glanced at the token in Songwen's hand, slightly startled. "This is the sect's merit token. There are 3 types of merit tokens: bronze, silver, and gold, corresponding to the Qi refining, foundation establishment, and golden core stages, respectively. The silver merit token allows you to access all techniques, secret arts, texts, insights, and methods related to the foundation establishment stage in the sect without spending contribution points. In other words, with this token, you won't need contribution points anymore." Songwen's eyes lit up. With the silver merit token, he could exchange for foundation establishment techniques, insights from the sect's predecessors about beast taming, and all second-tier techniques. Suddenly, Songwen thought of something and asked, "Can I exchange for the golden core technique of longevity technique?" Fangpingi replied, "Unfortunately not. The golden core technique of longevity technique is a 3rd-tier technique and is not included in the exchanges for the silver merit token." He then asked in return, "Is Elder Wu cultivating longevity technique?" Seeing Songwen nod, Fangpingi continued, "This was included as a little token of appreciation for your help in helping me ascend to the position of sect leader." "Thank you, sect leader." Songwen's expression was filled with excitement as he cupped his fists in gratitude. Chapter 312. Songwen cupped his fists and spoke to Fangpingi, "Peak Master, recently I have had a sudden insight that my cultivation is about to break through the early stage of foundation establishment. I would like to take a leave of absence for a while to enter seclusion and cultivate." Fangpingi replied, "A breakthrough in cultivation is a good thing. You can rest assured and go into seclusion." Songwen expressed some concerns, saying, "I'm just worried that this will delay the refinement of the human snake's mystic chi." Fangpingi said, "The refinement of the human snake's mystic chi is not something that can be rushed. The Supreme Elder has also instructed that there is no need to hurry. The first Supreme Elder will not blame you for such a small matter. Moreover, with your cultivation improving, refining the human snake's mystic chi will also be more effective." Yang Yu made it clear that there is no urgency regarding the refinement of the human snake's mystic chi. This indicated that for the time being, Songwen would not need the Shen Qi from the human snake's corpse. Therefore, the urgency of Songwen's request significantly diminished. While Songwen was indeed skilled in corpse refining, it did not mean that others could not learn the methods of corpse refining, as long as they are given enough time to comprehend some secret techniques of corpse refining and diligently cultivate. Many cultivators can achieve decent skills in corpse refining. The next day, Fangpingi delivered the golden core technique of longevity technique. Meanwhile, Songwen was busy making large purchases on the medicine peak to prepare for his so-called seclusion. The reason he claimed to be entering seclusion was to increase his visible cultivation level to the mid-foundation establishment stage. This was to prepare for entering the Kanglan secret realm. After all, entering the Kanglan secret realm with the early foundation establishment cultivation level was too low and would attract unwanted attention. Having a mid-foundation establishment cultivation level, while still relatively low among many cultivators entering the Kanglan secret realm, would at least not seem too conspicuous each time the secret realm opens. There are always cultivators whose cultivation has long been stuck at the early stage of foundation establishment, unable to break through, who take the risk to enter the Kanglin's secret realm seeking opportunities for a breakthrough. Song Won was entering the Kanglin's secret realm primarily to obtain the Yin-Yang blood weeping branch and 10,000-year spiritual liquid. He had acquired the method to refine the golden core and insights into the process using the silver merit token. The golden core can increase the probability of forming a golden core by 30, which greatly excited Song Won, and he planned to try refining a golden core himself. To refine a golden core, he needed to gather the required spiritual herbs for the refinement. The Yin-Yang blood weeping branch, as a key ingredient for forming the golden core, is extremely rare and is not planted in the Beastmaster sect's herb fields. In addition, with the silver merit token, Song Won also obtained insights left by the predecessors of the Beastmaster sect regarding forming a golden core. The process of a cultivator forming a golden core can be roughly divided into 3 stages. First, the spiritual energy stored in the core field needs to be converted into mana. This process requires a large amount of spiritual energy and typically uses high-grade spiritual stones or spiritual herbs that contain abundant spiritual energy for provision. The 10,000-year spiritual liquid is undoubtedly the best choice. Next, the mana is condensed into a golden core. The golden core is ingested during this process. Finally, in the last stage of condensing the golden core, the vast majority of cultivators will experience a heart tribulation. The so-called heart tribulation is a trial of the cultivator's heart and nature. Overcoming the heart tribulation leads to a significant increase in spiritual consciousness and advancing to the golden core stage. If one cannot successfully overcome the heart tribulation, the lighter ones will suffer injuries, and their cultivation will regress. The more severe cases will be burned by fire and fall into demonic paths, resulting in death. The occurrence of heart tribulation is not absolute. Some individuals with strong wills or those who have never committed acts of slaughter and are purely benevolent may not experience a heart tribulation. Overall, the number of people who form a golden core without experiencing heart tribulation is exceedingly rare. After 10 months, Song Won emerged from seclusion. He revealed his cultivation aura. Now at the mid-foundation establishment stage, during these 10 months, Song Won continuously refined and consumed blood spiritual pills, which further advanced his cultivation. However, there was still a considerable gap to the late foundation establishment stage bottleneck. As soon as Song Won left seclusion, he went straight to the human snake cave to see Lu Jiang. During Song Won's time in seclusion, Lu Jiang had temporarily taken charge of the human snake cave. Seeing that Song Won had successfully emerged from seclusion, Lu Jiang intended to report to Fang Pingyi and return the management of the human snake cave back to Song Won. Lu Jiang was skilled in nurturing human snakes, but he knew very little about the process of corpse refining. He found managing the refinement of the human snake's mystic qi to be quite challenging. However, Lu Jiang's request was halted by Song Won. Song Won's reason was that he had just made a breakthrough and still needed some time to solidify his cultivation. The real reason is that in 3 months, the Kanglin's secret realm will open and Song Won has temporarily lost interest in managing the human snake cave. After leaving the human snake cave, Song Won arrived at the Xian alchemy room. Although he had obtained the formula for the foundation establishment pill and insights on alchemy, what he learned from books felt insufficient. While the alchemists in the Xian alchemy room had never refined the foundation establishment pill, many of them had used the various spiritual herbs involved in its refinement. He planned to ask them for advice on the extraction and fusion methods of these herbs. As soon as he arrived at the Xian alchemy room, he encountered Zhou Si. "Junior brother Wu, you've come out of seclusion?" Zhou Si exclaimed with surprise after noticing Song Won's cultivation aura. She continued, "You've broken through to the mid-foundation establishment stage." "That's great." Song Won smiled and replied, "I just broke through and my cultivation is not yet fully stable." After chatting for a few moments with Zhou Si, Song Won took his leave, though he seemed a bit reluctant. 3 months later, on the main peak of the Beastmaster sect, in a small square, 14 foundation establishment cultivators had gathered. These individuals were volunteers from various peaks of the Beastmaster sect who wished to enter the Kanglin's secret realm. As soon as Song Won landed in the square, 2 people approached him. "Elder Wu, are you also going to enter the Kanglin's secret realm?" Rong Jingyun looked quite surprised. Beside her was her companion, Hung Cheng. Entering the Kanglin's secret realm was entirely voluntary, and the sect did not force anyone to participate. Anything obtained within the secret realm Apart from the yin-yang blood-weeping branch would belong to the individual. Before this, Songwon had not expressed to anyone his intention to enter the secret realm, thus Rong Jingyun was so surprised to see him wanting to enter. Songwon clasped his fists and replied, "Greetings, Elder Rong and Elder Hong. I was just a loose cultivator before and never had the opportunity to enter any secret realm. This time, since the Kanglin's secret realm is opening, I'm curious and want to see it for myself. The secret realm is filled with powerful beasts and numerous dangers. You must also remain vigilant against threats from other cultivators. Elder Wu, please consider this carefully," Rong Jingyun advised. Songwon replied, "I'm merely curious about the existence of the secret realm. If I encounter any beasts or cultivators, I'll avoid them from a distance. I don't think it will cause any trouble." Songwon feigned ignorance of the harsh realities of the cultivation world. Rong Jingyun shook her head and did not continue to persuade him due to their past interactions in the human snake cave and the benefits Songwon's corpse refining technique had brought her. She had spoken out of concern. Since he didn't seem to appreciate her advice, she chose not to press further. Hung Cheng was not well acquainted with Songwon. He merely nodded in goodwill as a form of greeting. Songwon noticed that there were other familiar faces in the square, Feng Qi and Lang Tianlu. Behind the two, there was also a person wearing an iron mask. The mask concealed the person's aura and blocked spiritual perception, making it difficult to sense their cultivation level or appearance. However, Songwon felt a hint of familiarity in the person's figure. Moreover, the way the masked individual looked at him was filled with malice. This left Songwon feeling somewhat puzzled. He didn't seem to have any deep-seated enmity within the Beastmaster sect. About half a quarter of an hour later, the time reached noon. A hunched figure appeared in the air above the square. It was Tu Lien. Looking at the 14 people in the square, Tu Lien said, "The agreed departure time has arrived. You all follow me aboard the ship." As soon as she finished speaking, a flying ship over 30 meters long suddenly appeared before her. Everyone flew up and boarded the ship. The ship sped westward. Chapter 3:13. The flying ship moved at great speed. In just 2 days, it crossed tens of thousands of miles. They arrived above a large lake. As the flying ship approached, 3 other ships hovered over the lake's surface, looking at the flags hanging from the ships. It was easy to see that these belonged to the Profound Heaven Sword sect, Hehuan sect, and the Mixed Yuan Temple. Upon seeing the flying ship of the Beastmaster sect arrive, a figure emerged from the Profound Heaven Sword sect's ship, dressed in fiery red. The figure fluttered like flames. It was Yen Yuyen. Tu Lien, "I didn't expect us to meet again here. It really is a narrow path for enemies." Tu Lien's aged face appeared extremely sinister. "Yen Yuyen, it's you again. Our last battle ended without a victor. Today we shall fight again and determine who is superior. Are you afraid?" Yen Yuyen's eyes flickered with a sword-like gleam. "Fellow Taoists, please do not get angry. We are all righteous sects. Let's not act recklessly," said a monk who stepped out from the Mixed Yuan Temple's ship. The monk's demeanor was peaceful. With a compassionate expression, Tu Lien's expression was icy as she glanced at the monk, a strange smile curling at the corner of her mouth. "Old bald donkey Hui Ming, this is a matter between our Beastmaster sect and the Profound Heaven Sword sect. There's no need for your Mixed Yuan Temple to meddle. Now, Mixed Yuan Temple is a clay bodhisattva crossing the river. How can you still have the energy to come here to interfere with the Kanglin secret realm?" 2 nascent soul cultivators from the Mixed Yuan Temple were severely injured during the battle between good and evil and had not healed, which severely weakened the temple's power. Moreover, the Mixed Yuan Temple bordered the 9 Palaces sect. The territory controlled by the Mixed Yuan Temple was often disturbed by the 9 Palaces sect and some demonic cultivators. Numerous spirit fields and mines under the Mixed Yuan Temple had been frequently plundered. When Tu Lien said, "Mixed Yuan Temple can hardly protect itself," she referred to these matters. Facing Tu Lien's mockery, Huiming maintained his calm demeanor. "Tu Lien, I advise you not to speak ill." Tu Lien sneered coldly. "Advise? You bald donkeys are the most hypocritical. You say one thing to our face and another behind our backs. I wouldn't dare trust your advice." Seeing Tu Lien and Huiming in a dispute, Yen Yuyen simply withdrew her aura and stood to the side, leisurely watching the show. At this moment, another flying ship appeared in the distance, rushing toward the large lake. On the ship, a large black flag flew, emblazoned with a silver character for Thunder. Upon seeing the Lei family's ship appear, Yan Yuyan's body tensed slightly and her expression grew serious. Before the Lei family's ship even arrived, a white-haired figure shot out from the vessel, stopping not far from the profound Heaven Sword Sect's ship, Yan Yuyan. I didn't expect us to meet again so soon, the newcomer said. The person was Lei Jun, the head of the Lei family. He had previously teamed up with Yan Yuyan to besiege Wu Ren at the corpse demon sect. TL refer to when Lei Jun looked at Yan Yuyan, the killing intent in his eyes was unmistakable. At some point, a deep enmity had formed between the two. Yan Yuyan gazed at Lei Jun, her expression a mix of amusement and mockery. Head Lei, your family's only nascent soul cultivator has yet to recover. Do you still want to provoke the profound Heaven Sword sect? Lei Jun retorted angrily, this is our personal grudge, unrelated to the Lei family or the profound Heaven Sword sect. Personal grudge? Do you really think I would be afraid of you? Yan Yuyan said. Tu Lian and Hui Ming continued their heated argument. The tension between Lei Jun and Yan Yuyan was like water and fire. Tu Lian and Yan Yuyan also had old grievances before the exploration of the secret realm even began. The powerful leaders of various sects who were hosting the event were already at loggerheads. This created an invisible pressure among the foundation-building cultivators who had come to explore the secret realm at that moment. A graceful figure stepped out. From the Hehuan sect's ship, everyone, the Kanglin's secret realm is about to open. Is it really necessary for the four of you to fight each other before allowing the foundation-building cultivators from each sect to enter the secret realm for exploration? This woman was dressed in a palace gown, her chest wrapped low, and her ample curves were quite apparent. Her hair flowed like a waterfall, and her enchanting eyes sparkled with charm. Hui Ming turned to look at the graceful woman without shifting his gaze. Fairy Shu Qing makes a valid point. Tu Lian glanced at Shu Qing's voluptuous figure, then at her own shriveled and corpse-like body, a hint of jealousy flashing in her eyes, which was hard to conceal. She coldly said, Hui Ming, you bald donkey, not only are you hypocritical, but you also violate the precepts of lust. Desire is human nature. It is fundamental to the survival and reproduction of humankind. Our Buddhist teachings also have the joyful Dharma, which aligns perfectly with the dual cultivation practices of the Hehuan sect. How can there be talk of violating the precepts? Hui Ming didn't try to deny it and openly admitted his lustful thoughts. Shu Qing covered her mouth and laughed, her expression blooming like a flower, charming and coy. Oh, Master actually understands the joyful Dharma. Once this matter is settled, would you be willing to exchange cultivation insights with me? Hui Ming, with a compassionate face, placed one hand on his chest and formed a Buddhist seal. I have that intention. Thank you, fair maiden, for your kindness. Tu Lian curled her lip in disgust. Shameless. After saying this, she turned and flew toward the Beastmaster sect's ship, no longer paying attention to Hui Ming and Shu Qing. On the other side, Yan Yuyan and Lei Jun remained in a standoff, showing no signs of easing up despite Shu Qing's appearance. Is it really necessary for you two to fight before the secret realm opens? Yan Yuyan said, I have no such intention, but since Head Lei is being so arrogant, I have no choice but to accept the challenge. Lei Jun replied, Yan Yuyan, after this secret realm expedition is over, I will not let you off easily. You won't have the chance to escape this time. After speaking, he glared fiercely at Yan Yuyan twice before turning back to his ship. Shu Qing flew next to Yan Yuyan and communicated with her through sound. Sister Yuyan, when did you offend that old coot from the Lei family? He looks like he wants to swallow you whole. Yan Yuyan replied, it was just 2 years ago when I borrowed a technique from him. What technique did you steal from the Lei family? Shu Qing asked. The Lei family's thunder techniques, but only the first 4 thunder methods, Yan Yuyan responded. Shu Qing gave a thumbs up. You dared to steal from the Lei family's 9 great thunder techniques. Aren't you afraid that their old nascent soul cultivator will heal and come after you? Well, that has to wait until he recovers. By then, at worst, I can hide within the sect and not come out. I don't believe that the Lei family would dare forcefully demand someone from the profound Heaven Sword sect. Why did you steal the thunder techniques? I remember your talent for thunder techniques is just average. Suddenly, a brilliant light flashed in Yan Yuyan's eyes, and a surge of strong confidence erupted from her. A sword formation. A sword formation that can wield thunder techniques. Upon hearing this, Shu Qing couldn't help but glance sideways. Integrating thunder techniques into a sword formation? She had never heard of such a unique sword formation in the cultivation world. There were some sword formations that contained thunder techniques, but those were based on the fact that the swords used to set up the formation contained lightning themselves. The difference between the two was still quite significant. Chapter 314. On the Beastmaster Sect's airship, Tu Lien stood coldly, observing before her. 14 Foundation establishment cultivators of the Beastmaster Sect bowed respectfully. The Kanglin's secret realm will only remain open for 1 month. This means you must exit the secret realm within that time, or you'll be trapped inside until the next opportunity to leave arrives 50 years from now. Of course, with your cultivation levels, I doubt you would survive 50 years in the secret realm. All treasures obtained within the secret realm, except for the Yin Yang Blood Weeping Branch, are yours to keep. As for the Yin Yang Blood Weeping Branch, it must be handed over to the sect, where it will be used by a third-grade alchemist to refine a golden core pill. You will receive 40% of the resulting pills. One must admit, the Beastmaster Sect treated its Foundation establishment cultivators quite well. Refining a golden core pill required a significant amount of rare medicinal ingredients, but the sect provided all the auxiliary herbs and was responsible for the pill refinement, while still distributing 40% of the pills to the cultivators. It was an exceptionally generous offer. A single batch of golden core pills typically produced 2 to 3 pills, in other words, of the 14 people on the airship. Whoever managed to obtain a Yin Yang Blood Weeping Branch was guaranteed at least 1 golden core pill. Assuming the pill refinement succeeded, this prospect excited the 14 cultivators, and their spirits were lifted seeing this. A trace of cold amusement flickered in Tu Lien's eyes. While the Foundation establishment disciples might profit from this, the sect would never lose out. As long as someone brought back a Yin Yang Blood Weeping Branch, the sect would gain a golden core pill. No sooner had Tu Lien finished speaking than a change occurred below the lake's surface. The previously calm water began to ripple, the ripples growing into waves. The surging waves flooded the lake. As if someone had stirred the water with a giant stick, a torrential flood ensued. Gradually, a massive whirlpool formed in the center of the lake. The entrance to the secret realm is open. If you don't go in now, when will you? A loud voice echoed in the sky. The Foundation establishment cultivators from the 5 major forces disembarked from the airship and descended toward the whirlpool. After a dizzying sensation of spinning, Song Wen found himself alone in a dense forest. The towering trees blotted out the sky, casting the forest in dim light instinctively. Upon arriving in this unfamiliar place, Song Wen extended his spiritual sense, however. He quickly realized that his spiritual sense could only reach 100 meters before it was blocked. It should be noted that Song Wen's spiritual sense was already at the peak for Foundation establishment cultivators. This meant that everyone in this secret realm would be limited to detecting things within a 100-meter radius. Cultivators could only control their magical weapons at a distance by attaching their spiritual sense to them. In this situation, Song Wen could only control his magical weapons freely within a 100-meter range. Beyond that, his weapons would merely follow inertia and attack in a set direction. Song Wen released his sacred goo insect. With the insect's help, Song Wen could barely extend his awareness to around 400 meters. This range was still limited, so he let the sacred goo roam freely, tasked with returning to report if it encountered anything unusual. After the sacred goo confirmed there were no immediate threats, Song Wen ascended into the air, reaching the top of the dense forest. What he saw was an endless sea of trees. The forest was flat, resembling a massive woodland plain. To his right, he could vaguely make out the shadow of a towering mountain. This mountain was the only one within the Kanglin's secret realm. It was known to be a gathering place for spiritual herbs. That wasn't to say the flat forest lacked any spiritual herbs, but most of them were low-grade herbs, not worth the attention of Foundation establishment cultivators. Moreover, these low-grade herbs were scattered far and wide, making them difficult to find with spiritual sense restricted. Song Wen stepped onto his flying sword and soared toward the mountain, but despite 2 hours of sword flight covering several thousand li, he could still only see the faint outline of the mountain in the distance. At this moment, the sky began to darken. Mist started to rise gradually within the dense forest. Moreover, the mist was growing thicker and thicker from the information he had gathered beforehand. Songwon knew this signaled the approaching night in the Kanglin's secret realm. Like the outside world, the secret realm had a day-night cycle, and at night, dense fog would shroud the entire realm. Traveling at night in the secret realm was not advisable. With bad luck, one could easily encounter predatory beasts or other cultivators. Songwon descended from his sword, landing in the thick crown of a tree. He suppressed his aura and began meditating to recover his energy. Darkness gradually fell. The dense fog and night enveloped the entire forest, obscuring it completely. Looking around, there was nothing but endless darkness and mist, and even things just a few meters away were barely visible. Fortunately, the mist did not interfere with his spiritual sense, which could still detect everything within 100 meters. Suddenly, a violent surge of spiritual energy came from ahead. Occasionally, there were also loud booming sounds. Someone was fighting up ahead. And they weren't far away, no more than 20 or 30 li from him. Songwon sent his sacred goo insect ahead to scout the area while he quietly followed behind, heading toward the source of the battle. He had just traveled a few li. Suddenly, one of his scouting sacred goo insects flew back to him. It was dragging along a rat-like demonic beast. The rat beast was quite small, about half a foot in length, and was already dead. The rat beast's body still had traces of strong human aura, clearly showing that it had been raised by a cultivator and released to scout ahead. Unfortunately, it had run into the sacred goo and was killed. This confirmed that other cultivators had been drawn to the battle up ahead. The rat beast's corpse ultimately became food for the sacred goo. Songwon called back the other scouting sacred goo insects and had them remain vigilant within the range of his spiritual sense. Then he slowly advanced toward the battle. After traveling a few more li, the sacred goo discovered another rat beast. This rat beast was hiding inside a tree hollow. To avoid alerting the enemy, Songwon decided not to kill it. The rat beast's cultivation was low, only at the first level of chi refining. It seems this person has raised quite a few of these rat beasts. Could they be from the Beastmaster sect? Songwon wondered to himself. Given the rat beast's low cultivation, it offered no help in combat and was likely only used for scouting. It was no secret that spiritual sense was limited within the Kanglin's secret realm. Most cultivators would find ways to improve their detection methods. Thus, it was impossible to determine the owner's sect solely based on the use of spiritual beasts. Songwon stopped, choosing not to move forward. The rat beast's owner likely had many of these scouting spirit beasts. Advancing recklessly might reveal his presence to the enemy. Although Songwon was confident in his strength, unafraid of facing any individual in the secret realm in a one-on-one fight, the world of cultivation was full of unexpected dangers. Traps, forbidden formations, poisons, and secret treasures, just to name a few. A single misstep could easily lead him into a carefully laid trap. Songwon concealed his aura and climbed up a large tree, hiding within its crown. Chapter 3:15. Not far from where Songwon was hiding, a few li away, three figures stood atop the treetop of a large tree. They were Feng Qi, Lung Tianlu, and a man wearing an iron mask. All three were staring intently toward the spot 10 li away where intense spiritual energy fluctuations could be seen. Feng Qi said, "The fight over there is a bit strange. It's been going on for a quarter of an hour, yet there's still no victor." The masked man said, "My scouting rats detected at least 2 people entering the battle zone, but none have come out." Lung Tianlu remarked, "Only going in and not coming out? Could there be some kind of plot?" Feng Qi responded, "Whatever their plot is, it has nothing to do with us. Have the scouting rats stay alert for any movement nearby. We'll leave once daylight breaks." Suddenly, the masked man's expression tightened. "Not good. One of my scouting rats just died. Do you know what killed it?" Feng Qi asked. The masked man shook his head. "The distance is too far to sense. It was probably another cultivator drawn by the noise of the battle." Meanwhile, in an open clearing about 10 li away from the trio, a beautiful female cultivator lay on the ground. Her clothes were disheveled, exposing glimpses of her skin. A burly man stood several dozen meters away. He wore a monk's robe, his bald head gleaming, with 6 burn scars visible on his scalp every few breaths. The man activated his spiritual energy and cast a fireball spell. A fireball the size of a basin shot out, landing near the female cultivator, sending dirt flying in all directions with a deafening boom. Hiding in the dense forest surrounding the clearing were 5 other cultivators. All 5 of them were concealing their auras, hidden among the tree crowns. Other than those fools the start, we've been lying eye for nearly a quarter of an hour. It seems unlikely anyone else will take the bait. The woman lying on the ground said. The burly man remained silent for a moment before speaking. We should indeed leave this place now. If we stay too long, someone might notice something's off. The woman flipped herself off the ground, dusted the dirt off her clothes, and disappeared into the forest. The burly man removed his monk's robe and changed into a set of tight-fitting clothes. He wiped his head, and the burned scars on his scalp fell off instantly in the blink of an eye. He had transformed from a monk into a robust body-refining cultivator. He then followed the woman into the dense forest, vanishing. The 5 cultivators, hidden in the treetops, also disappeared without a trace. The night passed in silence. The next morning, as the sun began to rise, it illuminated the entire secret realm at the same time. It dispelled the thick fog, making the view much clearer. Song 1, with a few branches stuck in his hair, stood atop the tree crown, not moving immediately. After about a quarter of an hour, 7 cultivators flew by, riding their swords toward the direction of a distant mountain. After waiting for another half-hour or so, 3 more figures flew past a few li away, heading in the same direction toward the mountain. Song 1 watched as Feng Qi and the others disappeared into the distance, staring for a long time, even after their figures had completely vanished from his sight. Song 1 still did not leave. He waited for nearly half an hour longer, but saw no other figures appear. Only then did Song 1 release the sacred goo to scout ahead. After that, he quickly slipped into the dense forest, flying through the trees on his sword. He flew through the dense forest for 2 days before finally arriving near the mountain. This mountain was the highest and largest peak Song 1 had ever seen. Even the corpse demon peak, with its 100,000 disciples, was not as towering as this mountain. It stood majestically, piercing the clouds, resembling a giant that loomed between heaven and earth. The mountain was covered with countless forests and streams, intricately intertwined. Most of the mountain peak was shrouded in clouds and mist, sometimes revealing a jagged corner and at other times completely disappearing into the vast sea of clouds. When the winds rose and clouds surged, the peak appeared even more imposing, as if it were a ferocious beast about to awaken, instilling fear in those who looked upon it. Surrounding the foot of the mountain were several lakes of varying sizes. In one of the lakes, several dozen li across, 2 gigantic beasts were locked in fierce combat. One was a tiger over 10 feet long, sporting wings on its back. The other was a crocodile dragon several feet in length. The crocodile dragon was covered in thick, shiny scales that emitted a cold gleam. Its tail and limbs were powerful. Each swing could stir up towering waves. The crocodile dragon swung its thick tail, attempting to sweep the tiger into the water. The tiger was agile and quick, its wings shimmering with a bluish light. With a gentle flap of its wings, it traced a graceful arc in the air, skillfully avoiding the crocodile's attacks. It leapt high at times and dove down at others, its claws like blades, fiercely striking at the giant crocodile. The 2 beasts wrestled in the lake, neither gaining the upper hand. The crocodile dragon, relying on its strong defense and striking power, continuously pressured the tiger, while the tiger cleverly dodged and counterattacked with its speed and agility. Ultimately, the crocodile dragon, leveraging its advantage in the water, successfully drove the tiger back. The tiger let out an unwilling roar, spilling a great deal of blood as it flapped its wings and flew high into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. The crocodile dragon fixed its gaze on the direction the tiger had vanished, slowly submerging its body into the lake. The battle between the 2 third-grade demon beasts attracted the attention of many external cultivators. At least 20 or 30 people, including Song 1, were aware of the 2 beasts' fight. These people regarded the lake and the misty mountain peak as forbidden areas. The territory of third-grade demon beasts was not something these foundational cultivators could intrude upon. Once the 2 beasts finished fighting, the hidden cultivators began to reveal themselves. At the foot of the high mountain, there were huge entrances located to the southeast, southwest, northeast, and northwest. These entrances were 10 zhang high, 33.33 m or 109.35 feet. all leading into the mountain's interior. Cultivators either flew high above or sneaked through the dense forest, almost all heading toward these 4 entrances. After waiting for an hour without seeing any cultivators nearby, Songwen dashed toward the nearest entrance. The entrance was built with grandeur and regulation, but countless years had passed, leaving it in ruins. The once smooth ground had become severely cracked and broken. Stepping into the entrance, the surroundings abruptly turned pitch black. Moreover, with his spiritual sense restricted, Songwen could only release the sacred gu to guard his front and back. The passage was winding and inclined downward. After walking a short distance, Songwen suddenly felt a sensation of being spied upon. Looking up, he noticed 2 bats hidden in the crevices of the passage's ceiling without any spiritual energy aura. These ordinary bats were kept by a cultivator for reconnaissance. Since they emitted no spiritual energy, one had subconsciously overlooked them. Being spied upon by ordinary birds and beasts was indeed quite unexpected. At that moment, from the dark passage ahead, dozens of black needles, thin as hairs, silently shot toward Songwen like the wind. If it hadn't been for the sacred gu extending Songwen's spiritual sense range to 400 meters, he might not have even had time to summon a defensive barrier upon realizing the threat. Chapter 3:16. The ambush was launched from several hundred meters away, suddenly initiating a surprise attack. This distance exceeded the perception range of the ambush, and the ambusher was unable to control the numerous needles as if they were extensions of their own limbs. Some needles, during their flight, embedded themselves into the tunnel's rock walls. However, the vast majority of the needles accurately shot toward Songwen. With a thought, Songwen summoned the turtle snake shield. As the turtle snake shield transformed into a size large enough to protect Songwen, the needles were already upon him. At the moment the needles made contact with the shield, they emitted a series of crisp ringing sounds, akin to plucking the strings of a zither. All the needles were blocked by the shield and fell to the ground. Songwen raised his hand and waved out several streams of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy swept up the black needles, which flew like arrows released from a bow, heading into the dark tunnel behind Songwen. These black needles were evidently a spiritual tool of a certain cultivator, but at this moment they were beyond the perception range of the ambusher, rendering them unable to control the needles. To be cautious and avoid the possibility of the needles being recalled by the opponent, Songwen simply threw them far away. At that moment, Songwen sensed a bald man entering his perception range. This man wore a cassock, had a scar on his head, and was dressed like a monk. Following closely behind him were 4 men and 2 women, a total of 6 people who also entered his perception range. These 7 individuals moved quickly, rapidly swooping toward Songwen. The bald man wore an expression of surprise. My dragon whisker needles have all missed. Songwen's expression turned cold. How unlucky. Before he could find any spirit herbs, he encountered a group of robbers. Just after entering the secret realm, these 7 had begun ambushing other cultivators. It was clear that they had premeditated their actions before entering the secret realm. Their purpose for entering the secret realm was not to seek spirit herbs but to rob other cultivators. There were a total of 7 of them, all at the peak of the Foundation establishment stage. Without using the Silver Corpse and Ghost King, it would be difficult for Songwen to deal with all 7. This place was too close to the entrance of the tunnel, and other cultivators could pass by at any time, making it unsuitable to use the Silver Corpse and Ghost King, as there was a risk of exposure. Leaving behind 4 sacred gus hidden in the crevices of the tunnel, Songwen transformed into an afterimage and retreated. After retreating for several dozen meters, the 2 sacred gus responsible for monitoring movements behind him sent back news. There were also people coming from behind. 3 monks from the Mixed Yuan Temple approached with fierce strides, their expressions quite unfriendly. One of the monks had several tiny holes punctured in his face. His entire face had turned black, clearly indicating he was poisoned. However, the holes weren't deep and the toxins hadn't entered his body. He had forced them out using his spiritual power, which idiot threw poison needles. The poisoned monk gritted his teeth and shouted angrily. The poison needles had been carelessly thrown by someone and were flying wildly everywhere. After turning a corner in the tunnel, he had inadvertently been struck by a few poison needles. All 3 monks were at the peak of the Foundation establishment stage. Songwen glanced at the 7 robbers in front and then at the 3 monks behind, his expression slightly astonished. He found himself caught between the 2 groups. After pondering For a moment, Songwon took out a poisonous herb from his storage ring and swallowed it. In an instant, his skin turned pitch black as if he were deeply poisoned. He staggered toward the three monks. "Be careful, fellow cultivators. There are robbers ahead, quickly escape." Songwon appeared as a chivalrous figure, expressing concern for the safety of others as he loudly warned them. When the distance between the two sides was less than 10 meters, they had already entered each other's perception range. Songwen's attitude suddenly changed and he shouted angrily, "So you are all in cahoots with the robbers? You mixed Yuan temple scoundrels, pretending to be pious and virtuous while hiding your vile deeds. Burning, killing, and plundering without remorse." Songwen's curses left the three monks bewildered. After entering the secret realm, they had been acting cautiously and hadn't committed any evil deeds. How did they earn the reputation of being guilty of every crime? However, as the three monks saw Songwen getting closer, they became increasingly vigilant. A short monk raised his hand and waved, causing a cassock to fly out and hover above the three of them. The cassock spun continuously, releasing streams of golden light that enveloped the three monks. Golden scriptures flowed ceaselessly above the golden light. This cassock was evidently a defensive spiritual tool and was of very high grade. Noticing that Songwon was only at the mid-stage of foundation establishment, the three monks' guard relaxed considerably. "Benefactor, this is our first meeting. Why are you cursing my mixed Yuan temple?" A monk questioned sternly. With only about 20 meters separating them, Songwon came to a stop. The turtle snake shield spun around him continuously. "Humph! There are 7 robbers behind me, led by a monk, aside from you, from the mixed Yuan temple. Is it possible there are other monks in this secret realm?" Before he could finish speaking, Songwon suddenly collapsed onto the ground. He gasped for breath, his face contorting in extreme pain. It was as if he was too deeply poisoned to support himself. The three monks exchanged glances, each seeing the confusion in the other's eyes. Could it be that there were indeed monks from the mixed Yuan temple colluding with other cultivators to ambush others? At that moment, the 7 robbers from behind also closed in, entering the perception range of the 3 monks within 100 meters. Upon seeing the bald-headed robber leading them, the 3 monks became furious. "Hey, you little thief! How dare you disguise yourself as a monk from my mixed Yuan temple? Burning, killing, and plundering, tarnishing our temple's reputation. Your crimes are unforgivable." The monk who had been struck by the poison needles formed several Buddha seals in front of him. Arhat golden body. In an instant, golden light erupted from his body. His physique visibly expanded at an alarming rate in the blink of an eye. He transformed into a giant man over 10 feet tall with bulging muscles. The giant took stable yet swift steps, charging toward the 7 robbers. The remaining 2 monks exchanged glances, a hint of helplessness on their faces as they watched their comrade act so recklessly. Although the 3 of them were peak foundation establishment cultivators and had no reason to fear the 7, they recognized that there was no benefit to fighting over such a trivial matter, and it wasn't wise to escalate things. However, since their companion had already acted, they couldn't just stand by and watch. The short monk raised his hand. The cassock above them suddenly flew out and hovered above the giant monk. This enhanced the already dazzling golden light surrounding the giant, making him appear like a true arhat descended to the mortal realm. At the same time, the short monk wielded a demon-suppressing staff, following closely behind the giant monk as they charged at the 7 robbers. The final monk held a string of prayer beads, chanting softly as he stepped forward at a measured pace. Although his movements were slow, with each step he crossed 2 or 3 yards, appearing almost ghostly and very eerie. After collapsing, Songwon leaned against the rock wall of the tunnel. He looked up as the giant monk and the short monk passed by him in succession. Following them was the last monk, who approached with a calm demeanor and a compassionate expression, as if he were a revered monk. As he walked past Songwon, he suddenly turned his head, his gaze turned sinister. A bloodthirsty smile lingered at the corner of his mouth. A compassionate high monk instantly transformed into a frenzied evil spirit. He gently manipulated the prayer beads in his hand. From the beads emerged a ghostly skull. The skull wielded a long sword, which was rusty and worn. with a blade that appeared to have endured countless battles and was steeped in the passage of time. Chapter 317. Seeing the skeletal phantom charging at him with a raised knife, Songwen felt a bit startled. He had anticipated that the people from the mixed Yuan temple would not help others without reason. He feigned a deeply poisoned appearance, making himself look like a piece of meat on the chopping block ready to be slaughtered. The other party clearly wanted to take the opportunity to ambush him and reap some benefits. However, the fact that the opponent could summon a skeletal ghost was somewhat unexpected for Songwen. The monks from the mixed Yuan temple were openly practicing evil Buddhist secret methods without even pretending to maintain a facade of righteousness. A thought crossed Songwen's mind, and the phantom of a python flew out from the turtle snake shield, opening its bloody maw and revealing sharp fangs as it lunged at the skeletal ghost. At that moment, Songwen suddenly exerted force with his legs and dashed sideways, racing toward the passageway at high speed. The monk was taken aback. He had thought that a skeletal ghost would be enough to deal with a heavily injured mid-stage Foundation establishment cultivator, but he didn't expect the opponent to evade the attack. Then he realized their side had clearly been deceived. The other party wasn't poisoned or injured at all. They were being used as pawns in a game of wolf driving the tiger away. The monk's anger surged at this realization. He hurriedly manipulated the prayer beads, and 3 more skeletal ghosts appeared, wielding long knives as they chased after Songwen. Songwen remained indifferent. He formed several thunder techniques with his hands. Thunder spear technique. 3 10-foot-long thunder spears rapidly coalesced. Silver lightning flickered across them, targeting the 3 skeletal ghosts. Ordinary ghostly beings were most afraid of thunder techniques. However, these 3 skeletal ghosts, refined by the monks of the mixed Yuan temple, were slightly different. A pale white glow surged around them. This pale glow embodied both the radiant brilliance of Buddhism and the sinister, mysterious aura of the ghostly path. The 3 ghosts raised their long knives and struck forcefully at the thunder spears. In an instant, a deafening explosion erupted. Silver lightning surged toward the 3 ghostly beings. The 3 skeletal ghosts froze in place, countless tiny electric sparks swirling around their bodies. The pale glow around them rapidly dimmed. Before long, it faded entirely, exposing the souls of the ghosts. However, at that moment, the power of the thunder spears diminished significantly, dissipating without a trace after consuming some of the ghostly energy from the skeletal beings. Thunder technique. The monk looked at Songwen's receding figure, somewhat astonished. Before long, Songwen had slipped out of his perception range, and the monk turned, feeling quite displeased, to assist his 2 companions, rodents. "How dare you disguise yourselves as monks from my mixed Yuan temple and act violently? You shall die." The giant monk swung his golden fist at the bald-headed robber. The bald-headed robber's face changed dramatically. They were indeed fake monks, but now they had encountered a real one. The 5 male robbers among the group immediately summoned flying swords, slicing toward the giant monk. The 2 female robbers each pulled out a pink jade rui. A rui is a traditional Chinese ceremonial scepter. Rui typically have a curved or S-shaped handle with an ornamental head, which can resemble a cloud, a fungus such as lingji, a symbol of immortality, or a lotus. They are often made from precious materials such as jade, gold, or ivory, and are commonly used in art and religious symbolism. Holding the jade rui, they slowly waved it through the air. A mist of pink energy flowed out, mixed with vibrant flower petals. Suddenly, the cassock above the giant monk began to spin rapidly, and the golden light intensified. The 5 flying swords could not strike the giant monk and were instead blocked by the golden light. They made 5 crisp sounds of metal clashing, although the flying swords failed to injure the giant monk. The immense impact greatly reduced his speed. At that moment, the pink mist, mixed with flower petals, floated over. Surprisingly, the mist passed directly through the golden light and surged into the giant monk's body. The giant monk's figure suddenly wavered, becoming unsteady. A hint of confusion appeared in his eyes. Seizing this opportunity, the 7 robbers quickly retreated backward. "Where do you think you're running?" The short monk suddenly launched a lightning strike, the demon-suppressing pestle shooting out like a hunting viper, aiming straight for the bald-headed robber among them. The bald-headed robber's soul nearly fled his body. He redirected his flying sword, swinging it toward the demon-suppressing pestle. "Everyone, help me." At the same time, he did not forget to call for assistance from the other 6 robbers. However, the response he received was no response at all. The other 6 robbers did not look back and continued to flee deeper into the passageway. The bald-headed robber, weaker than his opponent, was forced to act in a panic and could not unleash his true strength. How could he possibly match the monk? The flying sword was easily knocked away by the demon-suppressing pestle. With relentless momentum, the demon-suppressing pestle continued to strike toward the bald-headed robber. The bald-headed robber could only urge his spiritual power, forming a protective shield. Clang. The demon-suppressing pestle collided with the spiritual shield. The shield shattered in response. The demon-suppressing pestle plunged directly into the bald-headed robber's chest. In an instant, he exploded into pieces, blood splattering everywhere. The other 6 robbers seized the opportunity to escape 100 meters away out of the monk's perception range. In this secret realm, the spiritual senses of the cultivators were suppressed, making it difficult for them to execute many techniques, but it also significantly increased their chances of escaping. As long as they got 100 meters away, they could avoid their opponent's perception, making it much easier to flee. The giant monk shook his head vigorously, the confusion in his eyes gradually fading as he regained clarity. Just a moment ago, he had accidentally fallen for a trick which had infuriated him. It was those scoundrels from the Hehuan sect who colluded with the scum from the profound Heaven Sword sect. How dare they harm this monk? Today, none of you will escape. As he spoke, he stepped forward, preparing to chase after them. The monk at the back suddenly shouted, "Jia Wu, don't be reckless. The Hehuan sect is skilled in spiritual attacks that specifically harm the soul. Although your physical strength is unmatched, you don't cultivate your soul, making it easy for them to take advantage of you." The giant man named Jia Wu turned his head. "Jia Hui, are we just going to let them go?" Jia Wu's face showed unwillingness, but he stopped, adhering to Jia Hui's words. "They're just a few robbers. What benefit do we gain from killing them? We should hurry to where the fire linwood is located. If someone else gets there first, it would be a loss." Jia Hui said. At this moment, the short monk interjected, "Jia Wu, your head is filled with nothing but muscle. You have no brain left. Just listen to Jia Hui's arrangements." Jia Wu lowered his head, looking down at the short monk in front of him. "Jia Se, you only have women on your mind and are not qualified to judge me." Jia Se was short, barely reaching Jia Wu's knees. He looked up and chuckled wickedly. "Jia Wu, who did you learn from? Being so refined and even calling yourself I? It seems you still have some sense left. Jia Se, you're seeking death." Jia Wu roared, raising his giant palm, ready to strike down. "Enough." Jia Hui shouted sharply, "Don't you see where we are? You dare to argue like this in the temple?" Jia Wu awkwardly retracted his hand, looking a bit aggrieved as he grumbled, "It was Jia Se who provoked me first." Jia Hui turned to Jia Se, his gaze sharp. "Jia Se, do not provoke Jia Wu. This secret realm is fraught with dangers. There are many experts from various sects, and their methods are treacherous. Caution is the priority." Chapter 3:18. Upon hearing this, Jia Se was somewhat unconcerned. "The 3 of us are together in this secret realm. Not to say we're invincible, but self-preservation shouldn't be a problem." "Jia Hui, you're just being too cautious." Jia Hui retorted, "Too cautious? That Beastmaster sect cultivator we just encountered only had mid-stage foundation establishment cultivation, yet he slipped away right under our noses. We had 7 late-stage foundation establishment robbers in front and the 3 of us at peak foundation establishment behind, yet we couldn't capture him. Don't underestimate the thoughts and methods of others." After giving a lecture, Jia Hui continued, "Let's go, we need to set off quickly. The directions for the fire linwood and the 10,000-year spirit liquid are the same. Once we obtain the fire linwood, we can also collect the 10,000-year spirit liquid." The 3 of them quickly disappeared into the vast passageway. A moment later, Song Wen's figure appeared. Earlier, he had hidden 4 sacred goo in the stone crevices at the top of the passage. Through these insects, he overheard the conversation among the 3. The 3 monks' targets were the 10,000-year spirit liquid and the fire linwood. Coincidentally, Songwen was also interested in the 10,000-year spirit liquid. Thus, he quietly followed them, the 2 major treasures in the Kanglin's secret realm, the 10,000-year spirit liquid and the yin-yang blood weeping branch. The yin-yang blood weeping branch grows along the banks of underground dark rivers, and its location is not the underground dark rivers are complex, with a developed water system crisscrossing like a giant net covering a vast underground expanse. Cultivators need to delve deeply into it to search slowly. However, the location of the 10,000-year spirit liquid is fixed every time the secret Realm opens, 10 portions of 10,000-year spirit liquid will condense in the hall of 10,000-year spirit liquid. After following the three for several hundred meters, the passage began to branch out as they went deeper. The passage gradually narrowed and shrank with more and more branches, resembling a large underground maze. Moreover, with the spiritual sense restricted, even with a map to guide them, one could easily choose the wrong path if they weren't careful. In Song Wen's hands was a map of the secret realm obtained from the Beastmaster Sect's scripture depository, but the accuracy of the map remains to be verified, although anyone could access the books in the scripture depository. The truly valuable items could not be casually browsed. With the sacred goo monitoring the movements of the three monks, Songwen was not afraid of losing them. As he continued deeper into the passage, Songwen noticed something unusual. The air around began to grow hot and dry after walking for more than half a quarter of an hour in the intricate passage. Since most of the path inclined downward, Songwen estimated he had descended over 100 miles underground. After making a turn in the passageway, a faint red light suddenly appeared in the pitch-black underground corridor. At the same time, a wave of heat rushed toward him. This must be underground lava. Songwen thought to himself, it wasn't surprising for there to be underground lava in the Kanglin's secret realm. He had learned about this from the information obtained from the Beastmaster sect. Songwen stopped in place, allowing the sacred goo ahead to continue scouting. Soon, a vast lava cavern appeared before the sacred goo. The cavern stretched over 10 miles in length and width, with the lava flowing slowly inside, occasionally emitting deep rumbling sounds. The lava was bright red, resembling flowing molten iron. Surrounding the cavern were scorching, smooth stone walls that glowed with a faint red light. These ordinary rocks seemed to have become extraordinary after countless years of being scorched by the lava inside the cavern. Several stone platforms stood firmly in the lava. On one of the stone platforms in the center of the cavern, a cluster of small trees grew. There were more than a dozen small trees, varying in height. The tallest was about 5 feet, while the shortest was roughly 1 foot. However, only 2 of the small trees reached the height of 5 feet. The small trees were dark red, with trunks and leaves that were translucent like jade on the trunks. Overlapping scales-like patterns were densely stacked together in the lava cavern. There were 3 groups of people among the groups. One was a lone cultivator dressed like a member of the lay family at the peak of Foundation establishment. The second group consisted of 3 people: Feng Qi, Leng Tianlu, and a masked man. The last group was just arriving. Jie Hui and his companions. Upon seeing Jie Hui and his companions arrive, both Feng Qi and the lay family cultivator's faces darkened significantly. Feng Qi and the lay family cultivator had already fought a round without determining a victor, and Jie Hui's arrival forced both of them to stop. The lay family cultivator glanced at the 3 monks and then turned to Feng Qi, suddenly grinning. Feng Qi, I suggested earlier that we split the 2 mature Fire Lin woods, but you disagreed. Now, with 3 high monks from the Mixed Yuan Temple arriving, we won't have enough Fire Lin wood to go around. Feng Qi's expression was extremely grim. Earlier, there had only been one outsider, the lay family cultivator, facing him, and he had a significant advantage with his 3 companions. But now, with the arrival of Jie Hui and her 2 companions, who were also at the peak of Foundation establishment, the advantage shifted to the 3 from Mixed Yuan Temple. He cupped his hands towards Jie Hui and his companions. 3 esteemed monks, how about we split the 2 mature Fire Lin woods? Jie Wu, having released his Arhat golden body and returned to his normal height, took a step forward with a domineering expression. Beastmaster sect trash, hurry up and get lost. There's no share for you in the Fire Lin wood. Upon hearing this, Feng Qi's face darkened to an extreme, his eyes fixed on Jie Wu, but he remained silent. Suddenly, the lay family cultivator's body erupted with crackling lightning, and in the blink of an eye, he vanished from his original position, darting toward the center of the lava cavern. Thinking you can fish in troubled waters? Not that easy, Jie Wu shouted. He raised his hand and unleashed a surge of spiritual power. This surge of spiritual power, when applied with the thunder escape technique, was easily evaded by the lay family cultivator. The spiritual power landed before the lay family cultivator. In the lava 100 meters away, boom! After a muffled sound, the surrounding lava exploded, blocking the lay family cultivator's path. He halted his escape and landed on a stone platform less than half a meter high. The spiritual power that fell into the lava seemed to disturb the stillness of the area. The lava began to ripple, as if some life form was moving within it. Suddenly, a fish-like demon beast over 3 feet long broke through the lava, leaping into the air. The fish beast was bright red all over, its scales layered, like armor, forming an unyielding exoskeleton. It opened its mouth, revealing sharp, densely packed teeth. Continuously flapping its tail, it darted toward the Lei family cultivator at high speed. The Lei family cultivator slightly shifted his body to evade the beast's charge. The fish beast arced through the air and returned to the lava below, splashing up waves of molten rock. The appearance of this fish beast seemed to stir up a swarm of others lurking beneath the lava. Hundreds, even thousands of fish beasts surged out from below, charging toward the Lei family cultivator, bringing a torrent of lava with them. The Lei family cultivator's expression tightened. He raised his hand to unleash 2 palm lightning strikes against the nearest fish beast at the same time. A surge of lightning burst from his body, transforming him into a humanoid flash of lightning, darting to another stone platform 100 meters away. As the 2 palm lightning strikes approached the fish beast, they suddenly exploded, forming a massive net of electricity that descended upon the creature. Lightning surged among the many fish beasts, striking down at least dozens of them. Black smoke rose from the struck beasts, their bright red scales turning charred, but they were not killed or even injured. They merely fell back into the lava. The injured fish beasts did not retreat. Instead, they swam near the surface of the lava, seemingly searching for the right moment to attack. The Lei family cultivator stood on a small stone platform, observing the fish beasts swimming around the stone pillar in the lava below, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. TSK, is the master finding it too easy to collect the firelin wood? Deliberately provoking the molten flame fish. Chapter 319. Jia Wu looked at the molten flame fish swimming in the lava, his eyes filled with disdain. Just a bunch of mid to late stage first-tier demon beasts. Jia Se looked at his senior brother with contempt. Jia Wu, I told you not to act recklessly and to follow Jia Hui's orders. Although the molten flame fish is only a first-tier demon beast, they have lived in lava for many years and their bodies have been tempered by the high temperatures, making them exceptionally tough and hard to kill. Furthermore, the molten flame fish is numerous and often travels in schools. They hold grudges and once angered, they won't easily let it go. Upon hearing this, Jia Wu looked confused, a pleading expression in his eyes as he looked at Jia Hui, seemingly asking if what Jia Se said was true. Jia Hui shook his head helplessly, seemingly disappointed by Jia Wu's recklessness. He cupped his hands toward the Lei family cultivator and asked, May I ask your name, benefactor? Lei Yuhua. Benefactor Lei, did you just use the thunder escape technique? Lei Yuhua nodded and replied, Indeed. Jia Hui continued, the thunder escape technique is incredibly swift and excels at maneuvering in small spaces, making it perfect for the current situation if we work together. The 3 of us will attract the molten flame fish while you take the opportunity to harvest 2 fire linwoods. Afterward, we can split the fire linwoods equally. What do you think? Hearing this, Lei Yuhua did not respond but appeared to be deep in thought. Beside him, Feng Qi was getting anxious. If Lei Yuhua allied with Jia Hui and the others, he would have no chance at all. He specialized in fire-related techniques. And the fire linwoods were especially important to him as excellent materials for refining spirit tools and even magical treasures. Brother Lei, don't be too trusting of the bald donkey's words. They are skilled in sophistry. Once you obtain the fire lin woods, they'll turn on you in an instant. A playful smile appeared on Lei Yuhua's face. Brother Feng seems to be concerned for my safety. The 3 from Mixed Yuan Temple heard Feng Qi's words. Jia Wu, filled with anger, was about to strike Feng Qi as a lesson. Suddenly, he recalled how his impulsive actions had spoiled things earlier. Thus, he stopped and refrained from attacking Feng Qi and his companions. Seeing this, Jia Hui shook his head. He suddenly felt exhausted. Jia Wu wouldn't strike when it was appropriate and would act recklessly when it wasn't. He stepped forward, his aura rising sharply and a formidable, oppressive force instantly enveloped half the cavern. 3 benefactors from the Beastmaster sect. The fire linwood is connected to our Buddha. It would be best for you 3 to leave to avoid harming each other's feelings. Feng Qi's expression was as dark as water. He was utterly unwilling to easily give up the fire linwood. He exchanged glances with Lang Tianlu and the masked man beside him, signaling them to retreat first. You think just a few words can scare me away? You're underestimating me, Fengqi. As soon as his voice fell, he raised both hands and made a gesture toward the empty space on either side. Two 10-meter-long fire dragons slowly took shape. If it were anywhere else, encountering Jie Hui and the others, Fengqi would not have considered himself a match and would have had to flee, but in this lava cavern, his fire techniques were enhanced and he believed he still had the strength to fight. In an instant, two long dragons formed from the blazing flames appeared on either side of Fengqi. With the emergence of the fire dragons, the lava below seemed to be drawn by some force, rising on its own and merging into the bodies of the dragons. The originally bright red dragons gradually deepened in color, turning dark and blackened. Intense heat radiated from the dragons. It felt as though even space couldn't withstand such terrifying heat, beginning to twist and distort. Seeing that Fengqi had actually taken the first move, Jie Wu could no longer contain himself. Such a trivial fire technique, what can it do to me? Arhit golden body. Jie Wu suddenly transformed into a golden giant over 10 feet tall. He took a step forward and charged toward Fengqi. Along the way, Jie, who had never gotten along well with Jie Wu, surprisingly took the initiative to help Jie Wu in this situation. He summoned his Kasaya, releasing golden light that shielded Jie Wu's head. Roar. Roar. Two deafening dragon roars erupted from the mouths of the two giant dragons. The two dragons surged like torrents of flame, sweeping toward Jie Wu. The two sides collided with a tremendous crash. The cavern shook. Flames soared into the sky. Countless fiery droplets splattered everywhere. The residual force of the battle, accompanied by terrifying heat, swept in all directions. The Kasaya, serving as Jie Wu's first line of defense, took the brunt of the impact. It was struck by the tremendous force and high temperature of the two fire dragons. The golden light on it instantly dimmed. Then came Jie Wu. He seemed to be struck by two moving volcanoes. His Arhut golden body was immediately shattered. His form returned to its original size. His entire body became charred black and he was swept toward the lava by the residual force. Jie reacted quickly, unleashing a burst of spiritual power, pulling Jie Wu back just before he fell into the lava. Jie Wu landed safely. Though his body was completely blackened, he was not severely injured. Despite Fengqi's powerful fire techniques, after breaking through the Kasaya and shattering the Arhut golden body, the remaining force was limited and couldn't deal fatal damage to Jie Wu. However, it was quite remarkable that Fengqi could maintain the upper hand against two cultivators of the same realm. A trace of worry flickered across Jie Hui's face. The environment of the lava cavern amplified Fengqi's fire techniques to an absurd degree. The Tao of the Evil Buddha, which he specialized in, would face certain restrictions in the scorching place, even if the three of them teamed up to repel Fengqi. It would take considerable effort on the side Lei Yuhua was also eyeing the situation closely. If Jie Hui and his companions engaged in a life-and-death struggle with Fengqi, there was no guarantee that Lei Yuhua wouldn't swoop in and take advantage. Jie Hui's desire for the fire linwood was not as strong as Fengqi's. He was reluctant to waste a significant amount of time and spiritual power fighting over it. Seeing that Fengqi was about to summon the fire dragons again, Jie Hui quickly spoke to stop him. Benefactor, we have no grievances between us. Why must we fight to the death? Instead, let us cooperate to obtain those two fire linwoods. Fengqi, upon hearing this, displayed a mocking expression and did not immediately agree to Jie Hui's proposal. Although cultivators are typically self-serving, those who are as hypocritical as Jie Hui are rare. Fengqi truly did not dare to trust the other's words lightly. When the three monks had just entered the lava cavern, they had acted very aggressively, trying to monopolize the fire linwood. After witnessing Lei Yuhua's escape technique, they immediately expressed a desire to ally with him. Now, after seeing the might of the fire dragons, they wanted to form an alliance with Fengqi. They were opportunistic and fickle. Simply put, they were like courtesans seeking profit without regard for their dignity. With a full purse, you are a master, an emperor, a Buddha. They will flatter you, bending over backwards to please. If your pockets are empty, you are a beggar, a stray dog, a maggot. Even a glance is deemed too dirty for their eyes. Chapter 320. Lei Yuhua had originally been watching the show from the sidelines, hoping that Fengqi and Jie Hui would engage in a battle where both would be equally hurt. However, unexpectedly, Jie Hui, who had just proposed an alliance with him, was now considering an alliance with Feng Qi. Unable to hold back, he mocked, "There are rumors in the cultivation world that Buddhist cultivators are the most hypocritical with their sweet words and deceitful ways. Today, I finally get to witness it." Facing Lei Yuhua's sarcasm, Jie Hui remained composed, still wearing a compassionate expression as if pitying the world. "Gentlemen, in the Kanglin's secret realm, there are many spiritual treasures. It is unwise for the three of us to fight over a mere fire linwood." Feng Qi sneered, "If the master thinks that the fire linwood is not worth the trouble, you can simply withdraw, my friend Lei, and I will not obstruct you." Lei Yuhua chimed in, "What friend Feng says is absolutely right." Jie Hui continued, "Gentlemen, the three of us are indeed the strongest faction here. The treasures are right before us, yet you suggest that we let them go? That seems a bit inappropriate, doesn't it? Why not have Lei take back the 2 fire linwoods and we, the 3 brothers, each take 1? The remaining 1 can be split between the 2 of you. How about that?" Lei Yuhua laughed, "You bald donkey, you're playing a clever game. I would go alone to retrieve the fire linwood, bearing all the risks, while you sit back and enjoy the rewards. You want a whole piece of fire linwood, and I only get half? Do you think I'm a fool, easily deceived?" Feng Qi's expression grew serious as he spoke in a low voice. "I don't care how you divide it. I at least want 1 piece of fire linwood. Otherwise, none of you will have a chance to take it." His tone was resolute, displaying an unwavering determination. Jie Hui's tone turned cold, carrying a hint of murderous intent. "It seems that talking peacefully is perceived by you two as thinking the poor monk is weak and easy to bully. Since that's the case, the 3 of us will take all the fire linwoods." Upon hearing this, Feng Qi's face turned serious. 2 fire dragons formed on either side of him, fully charged and ready to strike. Meanwhile, Lei Yuhua activated his thunder escape technique, continuing deeper into the cavern. In this area, spiritual perception was limited and the controllable attack range was restricted to about 100 meters. Beyond that range, the precision of attacks would drastically decrease. Taking advantage of the flexibility offered by the thunder escape technique and the unique terrain, he believed he didn't need to engage in a direct conflict with the other 2. Thus, he decided to keep his distance and wait for the 2 sides to fight to the death. Suddenly, as Lei Yuhua hovered in midair, he sensed intense fluctuations of spiritual power behind him. Turning to look, he found that 2 flame dragons were roaring and charging toward him. On the other side, Jia Wu had transformed again into a towering golden giant, standing atop a golden lotus platform. Charging toward him, behind the giant, Jia Se was hiding, ready to join the attack. The 3 monks from the Mixed Yuan Temple and Feng Qi had apparently reached an agreement at some point and were now joining forces against him. Feng Qi and Lei Yuhua were about 200 meters apart, which was far beyond the range of spiritual perception. Lei Yuhua easily evaded the attack from the fire dragons. The 2 fire dragons dove into the lava. Lava splashed everywhere. Flames flew wildly. The previously calm molten flame fish became even more agitated. Thousands of molten flame fish surged from the lava. They rushed toward the nearest Lei Yuhua, no matter how exquisite the thunder escape technique was. Being surrounded by thousands of molten flame fish made it nearly impossible for Lei Yuhua to dodge every single one. With no choice, he summoned a long sword and wielded it, cutting down the molten flame fish that blocked his path one by one. He wasn't aiming to kill the molten flame fish, but simply to push them back. Even so, his speed was still greatly affected. The molten flame fish had tough skin and immense strength. After a series of slashes, his arm quickly grew numb. Moreover, molten flame fish continued to surge up from below, charging toward him. He found himself surrounded by a multitude of molten flame fish. Furthermore, Jia Wu and Jia Se were drawing closer. Lei Yuhua realized that if this continued, it might lead to a life-threatening situation. He decisively made the decision to abandon the competition for the fire linwood. Lei Yuhua changed direction and swept toward the edge of the lava cavern. The lava cavern had 2 entrances and exits, in addition to the one where Jia Se and the others had entered. There was another entrance on the opposite side. Suddenly, a surge of electricity erupted from Lei Yuhua thunderstorm technique. Lightning surged wildly, instantly enveloping an area of several dozen meters. In that moment, hundreds of molten flame fish were cleared away. Molten flame fish struck by the lightning fell continuously, taking advantage of this opportunity. Lei Yuhua darted toward the exit. He moved at an extremely fast speed, eager to escape, while Jia Wu and Jia Se couldn't catch up at all. Instead, as Lei Yuhua fled, the molten flame fish, unable to catch him, turned their attention to Jia Wu and Jia Se. Molten flame fish over 3 feet long charged toward the two. Jia Se activated his Robocasea, enveloped in a golden light that protected him and Jia Wu. Jia Wu swung his fists, smashing down on the molten flame fish, sending them back into the lava one after another. Jia Se wielded a demon-slaying staff, darting back and forth, blocking the charging molten flame fish. Seizing the moment, Jie Hui and Feng Qi leapt into the air, flying toward the center of the lava cavern. There, a stone platform with fire linwood, approximately 30 feet in diameter, resembled a miniature island. Due to years of exposure to high temperatures, the surface of the island was as smooth as glass, aside from the towering fire linwood. There was nothing else on it. Jie Hui and Feng Qi approached the island from opposite sides. Suddenly, the lava beneath the island surged violently. A massive fish one suddenly broke through tea lava, swinging toward Jie Hui, sending a shower of lava splashing everywhere. Facing the sudden turn of events, Jie Hui remained completely calm, as if he had anticipated it. He manipulated the beads in his hand, summoning 5 skeletal ghostly figures. The skeletal ghosts, holding long sabers, slashed toward the fishtail. Before the saber even reached, countless lava droplets fell onto the ghostly figures. The droplets caused the ghosts to emit faint dark energy, scattering into the air. The lava was extremely hot, carrying a trace of natural yang energy, which had a certain restraining effect on the ghostly figures. However, this weak damage was not enough to inflict a fatal injury on the skeletal ghosts. The 5 skeletal ghosts swung their sabers at the fish tail. The beast beneath the lava seemed to realize that the ghostly figures were not easy to provoke, and it retracted its tail. Then it raised its upper body out of the lava. At this moment, everyone finally got a clear look at the beast. The beast had 4 limbs, resembling a crocodile. With a long and flat body and wide, humanoid eyes, it was the guardian beast of the fire linwood, the red fire lizard. The red fire lizard opened its mouth and spewed a large amount of lava. The 5 ghostly figures were hit squarely by the eruption. Lava flowed through the ghostly figures without leaving any visible wounds. However, it consumed a large amount of ghostly energy. The ghostly figures' souls became somewhat ethereal. Jie Hui felt quite helpless. The red fire lizard, hiding within the lava, was nearly invulnerable against the ghostly figures.